Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. Today we've got another video that's about a question that's pretty frequently asked on the ship. We are in the lower part of engine room number 2 on the Battleship, and this is on one of our guided tour routes. And people all the time ask why there is a green painted plywood box mounted in the overhead. So here you can see one of them above me, but that style of green painted plywood box shows up all over the ship. And we've previously talked about how the Navy does use wood on the ship for certain specific applications. There's a link to that video in the description down below if you didn't catch it yet. But a plywood box seems like a strange thing to have. This one is probably what I like to call an unauthorized ship alt, in that it's not a Navy approved design change, but it's something that seems to have been done fairly widely around the ship, particularly in certain types of space. We'll talk about that in a minute. And they most likely use plywood because it's cheap and they had it available. Before we talk about what the box is or why it's there, let's talk about what it's actually covering up or mounted over top of. It happens to be over the speaker of one of our 1MC boxes. The 1MC is the internal communication system that's similar to a PA or a general announcing system at I don't know, whatever building you work in, your school, whatever the case may be. The place where from the office you can get on the microphone and talk and it'll go to every room in there. The 1MC is the Navy version of that. And so these speaker boxes are all over the ship. And there's a number of places where you can announce from. And we still use ours. You can make an announcement from the quarterdeck or from a couple other places around the ship that'll be piped through that box in just about every room of the ship. There are even switches on there for certain groups so that you can turn off the flight deck or the bridge or like certain spaces like that for when you're making announcements, which is great for us when we're holding events on board the ship back at the fantail and we've got a tour going on somewhere else, so you got to make an announcement. You can turn off so it's not going to call everybody on the fantail who are here for the event. It'll just call people who are here for the tour. The problem is there are a couple different kinds of these boxes, and some of them have a volume dial that can be set. Not all of them do. And some of them have an internal volume where you have to like remove the faceplate to adjust it. And some of them I'm not even sure have volume controls at all. So we are in one of the engine rooms, which would be an incredibly loud space on the ship. With various turbines running, we've got the ship's 2 turbo generators that are in this space directly above us, 2 of the 8 total on the ship. We've got the main engine just over that way, so one of the 4 on the ship. So these things are loud, they're whining constantly, they're making a lot of noise. So in spaces like this one, you would have louder 1MC set up. The problem is, those turbines are not always running. Especially like today, we're cold iron, the ship isn't operating, so none of the turbines or turbo generators are running. So that speaker is just ridiculously loud. So what did the crew do to overcome this? They put a 5-sided wooden box made out of plywood, painted it green so it doesn't rot, slapped it right over the 1MC, and that muffles the sound just a little bit. I've also seen some of these that are stuffed with newspaper or other sorts of stuff just to help baffle that sound a little bit better. But most of them are just metal boxes. Some of them use metal straps to hold them on. Some of them I think are zip tied. Some of them are just sitting there. But it's specifically in the loud spaces like the engine rooms and the turrets where we really see these places like offices around the ship that do not have a loud background noise, tend to not have covers on them because they just had a quieter type of 1MC box installed there. In 1983-1984, while the ship was off the coast of Lebanon, Paul Stilwell's book on the Battleship New Jersey lists that they were having issues with their 1MC, in that it would overheat if you used it for longer than a minute. So general announcements had to be really truncated in length, especially when you consider things like Captain Case of Missouri would keep the 1MC running from the bridge essentially the entire time he was doing engagements during the first Gulf War. So you just couldn't do that on New Jersey, even if Captain Milligan wanted to put out to the whole ship what they were doing. So it seems like one of the major upgrades that they did in the 1984-1985 yard period that the ship received, which corrected a lot of the deficiencies found during her first year of active duty after being reactivated in late 82, early 83, was to replace the 1MC system around the ship. So that's likely when they made the decision to put in certain decibel level speakers around the ship, and then it would have been after that likely that you see the crew start to decide, you know, that's actually a little bit too loud, let's muffle that somewhat. This is just one of dozens of unauthorized ship alts that you can find around the ship. Another common one is makeshift air vents to either direct the flow of air from the ventilation system towards your bed or to block it off because it's blowing right in your face, or makeshift filters because there's so much dust and stuff blowing through the air vents that they would put filters over the diffusers. What is an alteration that you've made to your workspace, sleep space, whatever kind of space you use all the time that maybe the designers didn't intend but makes your life a little bit better? Let us know in the comment section down below. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. There's a link in the description below if you'd like to continue donating to support the museum. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find about us in the channel. Thanks for watching.